Hey!
Stealth mechanics have been a cornerstone of video games as far back as Metal Gear and on the NES back in 1987, and the genre has risen in popularity in the years following the introduction of Solid Snake. But what comes to mind when you think of a stealth game? Snake's bandana and a cardboard box, or maybe the bald head and blood red tie of Agent 47, or even the trifocal goggles of Splinter Cell's very own Sam Fisher. These icons of stealth have helped shape the way people play video games as a whole, and the creators of these games and even the voice actors have become ingrained in gaming culture as a whole. Throughout this analysis, I will take examples from three main series I feel most share the most evolution as the years have worn on: Metal Gear, Splinter Cell, and Hitman. Keep in mind the examples I will be using are from the most recent entries in each respective series for sake of time. Stealth mechanics in their most basic form can come down to a small list of things: the ability to crouch, enemy vision cones, and a way to deal damage that is quick and silent, and having somewhere to hide in the event that you are found out. Silence is key in any stealth game worth playing, and even games with minor stealth segments are no exception. The less noise you can make usually means you can get closer to your target and not be noticed. Most Metal Gear games, for example, have the main character's footsteps almost completely muted so you can run, walk, or even crawl directly to an unsuspecting guard. In Splinter Cell, on the other hand, relies heavily on the idea that silence in any situation is golden. Mixed with the shadow mechanics and a light and sound meter, this makes for an ever-changing but always challenging experience for anyone trying to play perfectly. Let's talk about Metal Gear and the changes that the series has made as the games have progressed. Originally, there was the idea of keeping quiet in-game and in real life with Metal Gear for the Famicom. You see, the Famicom had a microphone inside the controller that if you speak into it, the surrounding guards would be alerted to your presence and the alarm would sound. This idea was then traded for making noise in-game with Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1 with the addition of a knocking mechanic, which would be used to lure guards toward you or away from an exit they're guarding. There are also an added visual mechanic where Genome soldiers could see your footprints in the snow outside of Shadow Moses.
Huh? Whose footprints are these?
They could also follow the footsteps until they either found you or gave up a moment or two after. The knocking mechanic would carry on into MGS2, MGS3, and I believe even Peace Walker. MGS4, however, still implemented this, but it didn't work as well because of the more open level structure and the distance that certain enemies would be from Snake. Now, from the Splinter Cell series, sound is a very heavily implemented idea that is not only the way that enemies perceive Sam, but completely changes how Sam interacts with the world around him. Not only relying on the slowed pacing, but vertical movement to avoid detection by climbing onto windowsills or shimmying up pipes along the ceiling. There's also the use of thrown objects to deter a guard from your hiding spot. In MGS5, you can throw empty magazines to create a ruckus. In Splinter Cell, you can throw empty beer bottles or cans that you find in the environment. Then finally, in Hitman, you can start a mission with a handful of agency-branded coins to throw at a moment's notice. I may in the future make videos further delving into changes in these games as they progress throughout each series. Since there are definitive things that make a great stealth game, there are many things that can break a stealth game. Either it's poor movement controls, bad camera angles, or even bad detection by enemy AI. Any one of these can completely ruin a stealth section or an entire stealth-based game. Take the Tomb Raider remake for example. While not strictly stealth-based, all in all it's a pretty okay game, and there are stealth sections that are mandatory and are part of certain combat scenarios. The Tomb Raider remake uses the idea of contextual crouching. There isn't a set button or control for cover or crouching. Lara just kind of automatically ducks whenever near waist-high cover. With no way to control that sort of movement, it can lead to disastrous results. For example, I would attempt to sneak up on an unsuspecting henchman only for Lara to stand straight up when she got far enough away from cover, and immediately alerted not only the guard, but the guards within 40 feet of every direction. This is not a good way to handle stealth. What you should do is have a crouch feature, and either have a button to move to cover, or have, like MGS5, and slide into cover when you push into it. Stealth controls are also fully dependent on the environment that you have to interact with. I would also like to add that the definitive version of the Tomb Raider remake does have a crouch button in the multiplayer. Not in single player, in multiplayer. An environment can change the way you infiltrate, take out enemies, and escape unseen. Splinter Cell is almost solely about infiltration through stealth. In fact, the game can be noticeably more difficult in the event that you are found out, making so you almost have to be completely silent, all the while hiding in the shadows and disposing of bodies as to not alert the guards. The Metal Gear series recently made the jump to an open world setting with the Phantom Pain, allowing you to run around in a war-torn Afghanistan and a small portion of Africa, giving you complete freedom to choose how you go about completing your mission. Want to go in guns blazing? You can do that. You want to go quietly and efficiently pick off enemy combatants from a mile away then extract by chopper? You can do that too. Even Hitman takes a slightly open-ended approach, giving you a specific target and letting you use a wide variety of weapons and objects to accomplish your goals, and lets you take a variety of routes to reach your target and exfiltrate. Stealth is at its greatest in a large open world. The idea of choosing your point of infiltration, following a target, and figuring out the layout of a location or base, just to then use the skills you've gained to get in and get out without anybody other than your target knowing you were even there. In MGS5, the vast deserts of Afghanistan and the open plains of Africa, and even the sprawling Mother Base make great locations for completely customizable stealth situations. In Splinter Cell, use vertical movements and shadows to cover your movement and sneak in completely undetected. Even under the cover of shadow, Sam Fisher can use his trifocal night vision goggles, in which later titles would change almost completely to the idea of Sam just being able to see in the dark. In Hitman, while also utilizing an open setting, relies heavily on the idea of hiding in plain sight. Moving with a crowd and remaining non-threatening and free of suspicion is a valuable asset, and very satisfying when pulled off perfectly. The main characters of each series have grown individually either through the stories of each games or the actions they take in certain situations. There's a sort of a camaraderie amongst stealth games, either it be a reference material in the form of Easter eggs or costumes. It does seem that there's some sort of friendly rapport between major game series, like having Altair's outfit in MGS4, or being able to do a leap of faith into a hay bale in Peace Walker, both references to the Assassin's Creed series. There's been a lot of speculation over the years about the idea of Metal Gear and Splinter Cell taking place in a single universe, with either series referencing each other continuously. A very recent reference that somewhat confirms this is a cutscene in the Splinter Cell DLC for Ghost Recon Wildlands.
You look like you've clocked some miles since we last spoke.
Yeah, a few. I've heard they don't make them like me anymore. There was this other guy, though. Army infiltration. He wore a bandana or something.
I heard he finally retired.
Really?
Yep.
It's only me.
Sam.
Yeah.
The context here is that Kojima left Konami after the release of MGS5, and in the canon, Snake would have retired in 2014, 4 years before the events of Wildlands and during the events of MGS4. Sam stated,
It's only me.
is a sort of quiet resignation that the Metal Gear series is over, much to his, and admittedly my own, sadness. There have been many references in between these games and many others that I hope to cover in a future series. Now, the future for stealth games is a slippery slope, with the popularization of first-person shooters and the endless tide of remakes, reboots, and re-releases. It seems unlikely we'll see anything like Metal Gear or Splinter Cell in the near future. Snake is retired, Big Boss is dead, Sam is getting older. Hitman has taken me by surprise recently with the reconstruction of the series through the 2016 Hitman, with new missions being released monthly through paid DLC. Though normally I don't really agree with expansion packs for single player games, the sprawling environments and attention to detail while maintaining a manageable price is nothing I can be too upset about. That being said, where we are left now, it's not looking too good. The Metal Gear series is now that of a zombie horde game and pachinko machines, becoming a zombie in its own right. And Splinter Cell has been delegated to DLC within a much larger game. It's clear these developers are at least trying, but the publishers will be the judge of what gets released and when. While the future may be bleak for Metal Gear and Splinter Cell, I feel there's still hope. Still a light shining somewhere in the darkness. Who knows if that light is the green tint of night vision goggles, or the glare off the bald head of Agent 47? I still have hope. Though not what it used to be, some games do make an effort to add stealth in wherever they can. An example being the Assassin's Creed series with the addition of a crouch button in Assassin's Creed Unity. There are even more recent stealth-based games out there. Thief was a popular one, Deus Ex, and even Dishonored. There's a whole world of these games, but most of them you only find if you seek them out. Who knows? I might make a series of videos discussing the criteria that makes and breaks a stealth game. But for now, let's all collectively take a look back at what was, where we are now, and where we're headed.
Boss, you only need one snake. No. The world would be better off without snakes.